I guess the first thing I really want you to tell me is how did it start? The story, the concept, the idea, the toys first. It was a web series. It was a comic. What was first, or?
The first came the toys, but we packed in comics with the toys to get the story started. We took a lot of inspiration from 80s and 90s toys. Curtis and I both had toys that had no cartoons, but they were still very popular with our friends and things. So something, of course, like He-Man, Masters of the Universe, started out as a toy with pack-in comics. We stole that idea blatantly, but nobody had done it in a while, so that's okay.
And the idea for GK Delta itself, or alternation itself, was actually one of several ideas that the company tested with kids. Because the whole thing is we wanted to be able to help inspire the imaginations of today's kids the way we were inspired with toys when we were kids. And Ryan had already had the seed of the idea, like the conspiracy and how the creatures came to be and their origins. He already had that seed, and so from there I just kind of took and cracked it and helped expand that along with eventually we just kept riffing off each other. I'd be like, what if they've got this? And then Ryan would be like, how about an island base? Oh, an island base with a helicopter. An island base with a helicopter and a lab. It just kept growing off of everything we were doing.
The island of Dr. Moreau. We always get compared to that too, because we have part animal, part human, isolated on an island.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you don't have this big problem with the big city and all the people over there. So you get to do your play sets more simple and realistic. So the design, I mean, not just only the figures, but the package. Man, that's great. How did you decide to use this kind of display? Because I mean, it's kind of both worlds, right? I mean, you can have it over there. You can play with it. I mean, I love the packages. So tell me about that.
Yeah, that was a whole process. So again, since it's our original IP, we can put a lot more money into packaging and design because we don't have to pay royalties to something like Ghostbusters. Or we don't have to guarantee minimums and things. So a lot of cost cutting goes into those licensed products. The packaging was important to us because we knew we were in an uphill battle as an unknown IP. If this thing's on the shelf, we want it to stand out. We picked the bright yellow and chartreuse colors for that reason. And then the reason why it's just so big is, like, of course it looks cool and it fits. The hexagon shape is a reoccurring theme throughout our whole brand because it's sort of taking inspiration from the diagram of a molecule, and the figures are very big. They're heavy, and we had concerns that we would have too much damage from just hanging on a hook. It would fall off the hook, or it would peel away from the card back. And you have 6 sides to see different information on different parts of about the character, about the story, and you have 2 windows to see them from the top and from the front.
We also wanted to make it collector friendly. So it's completely resealable. You don't have to worry about. So the box can be completely preserved and be on your shelf, and you can still see your figure just fine.
How is the way to make these toys available to the kids or to the broader public in a time where there is no Toys R Us anymore? How do you guys get to be in the spotlight?
Yeah, our whole strategy was, we had kind of seen that Toys R Us was having trouble when we had first started the company, and we were concerned that retail in general was just, in the US at least, it's getting a lot harder for retailers that don't do something to stand out. With that said, we'd always planned on doing an online digital strategy. That was our bread and butter from the get-go. That was how we got early interest prior to even having toys. And so, also with things like YouTube and TikTok and all that social media, you can also get these videos straight to people where we show off the features and how to use the toy, and we would do things like make it fun. Instead of just an instructional video, we have one of the characters using his monkey arms to show you how to play with the toy, and that character just happens to be voiced by Curtis Anderson.
It's true. And so between direct social media marketing and direct YouTube marketing and its accessibility at Amazon, Walmart.com, and our own personal toy store, kids are able to get it just like they would anything else.
And we are on shelves. We're just not at those big ones. We're at specialty retailers and your local comic shop. It's a great place to pick up alternation.
Reviewing the toys, I mean, playing with them, we found that every figure has this like action punch and action thing. I mean, I remember it from Masters of the Universe, and pretty much every toy in the mid 80s, 90s had this. I mean, it was intentional. Talk to me about this.
We knew we needed to stand out, and again, we could put more bang for the buck, as they say here. We can put more features into a toy and still meet a very similar price point to other action figures. We thought it was important because what we were getting back in those initial talks with the kids was that they really liked the idea of mixing animals and humans, because you get the best of both worlds. All of the powers that our characters have are inspired by real animal abilities, such as changing color skin of a chameleon, electric eel lights up.
It was also really important to us that the action feature be complementary to the toy and not be the gimmick of the toy. Because I remember when I was younger, I would get so frustrated when there'd be a version of a character and it would only do the one thing. And if you weren't interested in Batman doing that one thing, then it was a wasted toy. You had to use another figure to be able to do what you wanted. So it was really important to us to make sure that if you wanted Sabotage, he could still have his spring-loaded punch, but then you could still articulate the arm and move it and have him hold his Gatling gun and his laser rifle and still play with him as if he didn't have the action feature and use the action feature when you wanted it. You can still articulate the arm outside of that thing, and if you just like bend the elbow back, it stays in place.
Okay.
Yeah. It's even got a little locking ratchet to keep it, so when you punch it, it stays kind of like curved and not.
Okay. Well,
and this is the kind of engineering we were able to put into it because we weren't paying licensing fees. You know, the amount of money that goes into getting an existing product is so large that when we saw how much width and breadth and the options that were available to us when we weren't, it was like, good grief, we can do so much cool stuff. It's just neat. It's just really neat.
Nowadays, it's quite important, the movement of the figures. You know, have this like 25, 30 points of movement and stuff. Did you guys feel you need to include some, some determinate point of articulation, or just the basic, or just what you need on the figure?
Yeah, we looked at market comparisons. We looked at Playmates toys. They had Ben 10 and Ninja Turtles at the time. So we kind of said, well, we can't be really less than that.
We kind of skated the line between a collector style toy and higher functionality playable toy. So in the end, all of the articulation that we have contributes to the play factor of the toy and isn't there to satisfy a requirement of like an ab crunch or something like that. We wanted them to be as posable as possible, but still playable.
But you get to see like these versions you have the adult version, the collector version, the kids version, and the kids version, it's something like, you say, even in my days, that wasn't that cheap thing. I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, you had like a real good balance. It's playable. I mean, that's the most important thing for me. This is playable, and I love that. What's next? I mean, you have now like this first wave of characters. But characters, it's playsets, it's vehicles, what?
Absolutely. I can't reveal too much, but I can reveal a lot. We do have more figures planned. We've previewed them for a while. Due to coronavirus, we're not moving through the inventory that we had reserved for conventions. So we want to make sure we're still around, for 2020 and 2021 by playing it a little bit. Just seeing how the economy pans out over the Christmas season, basically. And we'll have more news by then about when Bomber and Alpha are dropping. But the prototyping is all done. We'll be sharing pictures soon. We are introducing a lot more characters and story through our partnership with Dark Horse Comic, and that's dropping this fall. Yeah, we do really, really, really want to do play sets and vehicles, and the hint I could give with that is we have hybrid characters. Why not hybrid vehicles? I don't know. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
Not the Toyota Prius kind of hybrid. That's not what I'm talking about.
No. Besides all of this, I am music lover. So when I was watching the animation that you have and stuff, I detected the music was very much like a 16-bit game. I mean, like the Genesis and the Super NES, and it was on purpose. Are you trying to relive the 90s? What happened over there?
That's funny. Yeah, I have a friend of mine. He's actually the touring drummer for POD. And I told him kind of what we were doing, and I gave him, I think the examples I gave him were kind of like Men in Black and Batman Beyond from the 90s. So yeah, totally inspired. I think he did take a lot of inspiration from there, and I kind of told him that, yeah, here's the tone of the show, and he just ran with it, and it worked out really well.
And then the music for the webisodes is done by the same person who did the background music for the commercial. It was always about, that kind of spy hunter kind of feel, and 80s synth wave, having that impression of a retro feel with a futuristic flair.
Panda Mony. Mm-hmm. So, how does the company started? Why did you decide to have that name?
I had always wanted to do character and story development, with some platform, with some medium, but I had done programming for video games, mobile apps and things for big companies like Disney and Mattel. Not directly, it's usually subcontracted, but at the time everybody was doing a game, and they were doing great games, and it just felt like if you're going to break out, it was going to be very, very difficult to do it with a story in games or comic books or even animation, because there was so much great content out there that already wasn't getting recognized by the public. In action figures, everything at the local Target or Toys R Us was 10, 20, even like 70-year-old brand if you count Marvel. So it was nothing but the same stuff we had seen for years. So that was kind of, just from a market perspective, we wanted to go where we were going to get the most notice, since we didn't have the same resources that somebody like Disney has. The name Panda Mony, we picked that because it was a play on the word pandemonium, and we have a mascot named Mony M. We wanted to say that we were going to break all the rules. We wanted to be the scrappy upstarts, bucking all the status quo.
We have been showing these figures on our regular live shows. We have a question from our audience. Ernesto Robalcaba is asking, have you ever get rejected any idea by the time you're pitching at a company because it's not commercial?
I used to pitch animated series a lot, and that was just, there are so many people that are very talented, and you're competing against all of them, and on top of that, the producers themselves have a very specific thing they're looking for. So in order to get your idea out with those gatekeepers, all of the luck has to just line up. It has to be what they're looking for. You have to execute it perfectly, even meet the right person,
I've been a 30-plus year veteran of the entertainment industry. I was an actor for a very long time. I was an independent producer for over a decade. And, it's always difficult to tell when an idea can get turned down. Certainly the biggest excuse is that it may not be commercial enough. But honestly, like Ryan was saying, the fact of the matter is the market is very open to ideas. What you need to find are people that are in the same state of mind as you are. There is always a market. It may be a niche market, a smaller market, or like a fan market, But that just means you need to scale what you're doing to the audience that's available. Because anytime that you try to make something just to fit what is considered commercial, it's already old thinking, it's already passed you by, and by the time you release it, it's not going to work anymore.
Specific to toys, there are a lot of commercial considerations that need to be taken into account. So you have to stand out as far as a product, or just have a well-known backup. Like, people need to know the thing, and whatever you're passionate about, you need to make sure that the audience is as well. And you can't really work in a bubble. You need to know what the audience is going to resonate with.
I mean, in the end, especially right now, there's no one right way to do anything. The best thing you can do is just keep trying. Persistence will almost, carry the day if you need it to.
And spread your net wide. Have a lot of ideas, so you're always ready.
Gavito Haddad asks, which toys did you play with when you were kids?
I started out as a really little kid with GoBots, which was the competitor to Transformers. For whatever reason, I liked them better. I really liked Mask a lot. The toys, there were vehicles that turned into another vehicle. And then when Ninja Turtles came out, that was it. Like, everything was Ninja Turtles all day, all the time.
I was a very, very, very active action figure guy. So my first toys were the Mego Batman and Robin. And then that went right into He-Man, which went right into Real American Hero.
I was just going to say, you remember the decals of Real American Hero? Nobody
Yes.
has decals anymore. Anyway.
Yes! And then Real American Hero went into Captain Power
Ooh,
and
yeah.
Brave Star and
Wow.
Real Ghostbusters. I didn't really get the superpowers until later, but I was really into Marvel Secret Wars
Okay.
because of Iron Man, and that's like my oldest fandom ever.
I feel like I gotta also give a shout out to Nintendo, even though it's not an action figure. I was like really into Nintendo as a kid too, and that was a huge phenomenon.
I mean, I hoping that this toys are getting broader distribution for you guys. We're doing our part.
Thank you very much. We
let's-
really appreciate it.
I really want to wish you the best. I mean, it's a great product, and you guys give us this second wave of characters.
Yeah, keep an eye
That's
out.
the plan.
And yes, please check out the Dark Horse comic coming out this fall, and you can get more information on the brand at alternation.toys. And of course, we're on social media too, Alternation Toys.
Appreciate it. So from Mexico City, it's a big hi. And
thank you very much.
best wishes
Pleasure
over there.
talking to you.
Thanks a lot, Ricardo.